There we go. Now you can hear me talk. Yeah, now we're talking something. We are talking live, man. Live. Let's turn this over here. Let's kill the rock and roll music. Let's kill that. Let's kill the brand. Let's bring on the comments. We're good. Remove that. We're good. We're here. We're good. Oh, this is something else. Something else. We got to figure this out a little bit better. All right. Anyhow, here we are. Whew, what's going on? All right. First off, we got massive hurricane that's come up the coast line or working its way up the coastline. Hit Caribbean, Florida. Wish everybody the very best of luck on that one. As to where the storm goes, I have no control over that. Now it's a matter of being safe. I mean, there's one of the comments that I heard there is on one of the prior hurricanes. More people actually got hurt or died afterwards, not from it, but from the after effects. Standing water, floods, being electrocuted, stuff like that. So just be unbelievably careful. For those of you that are still in harm's way, be safe. Just be safe. I was thinking on Long Island, as many of you know, over here, we've had a few issues. I'm 80 feet above sea level, so I'm not certainly going to get affected, by a hurricane in that respect. Maybe trees, winds, whatever, but gotta be safe. Yeah, just be safe as you possibly can in these things. Take precautions into place, have food, whatever it is to do. So again, best of luck. Be safe. Hope everybody is doing as well as it possibly can in Florida and the rest of the coastline as it comes up. All right, to the rest of the weather related kind of thing. Seems like many of the outdoor races, the drag races, I'm sure others too, but whatever, some of the drag races that people have been following, bunch of events canceled up here. What the Saturday for Racetrack Night Street is not going to take place. That has been canceled. That's this Saturday, October 1. So we got a couple more weekends of racing. So that's not kind of exciting. It's terribly exciting, as that goes. I mean, hey, I got to wear this coat someplace besides sitting in my house. And so that's coming up. So that'll be good. Hopefully the weather holds together the rest of the way through and we get those races in. Get those races in. Maybe that's where we're going to go with this one, today. And I welcome any comments on anything, as this goes. But um, there's so much that was learned from my perspective on this whole thing, and it's just there's so many layers to it. Let's put it that way. There's so many layers to it. I mean, take any racetrack, any event, really. Just take any event. It doesn't make a difference what it is. What does it take? What does it really take to put on an event? A lot, an awful lot. I've got firsthand experience with a couple of things, not too many when it comes to complete start to finish. And this goes back to my Toastmaster days. I'm still a member of Toastmasters, but I was the conference chair in 2009, long time ago. But it worked out so well. I became the conference czar, I think was the name. I'm really crazy about the name, but whatever. I was off for the next couple of years. I was the advisor to people that we do in the conference for the next few years after that. The Toastmasters conference, here's how that has taken place. This is obviously it's pre-COVID, but definitely pre-COVID. But there was two conferences per year, one in the fall, one in the spring. I was in charge of the spring conference, which was the bigger one. Volunteer, everybody flat out across the board at the in Toastmasters, the local level in Toastmasters for sure, are volunteers. Incredible group of people. I say what to do. There are some people that have got salaries that are paid employees of Toastmasters International. They're located, I think, in Colorado. Whatever, it doesn't make a difference. The point is that these conferences that take place locally are financed in part by the dues that are collected by Toastmasters International, and the other portion of the conferences are financed by people paying for the tickets. And depending upon the time and place, whatever, ticket prices vary. Each district has a difference, etc. Not a point. Not really a point of the whole thing. The point of the whole thing is that it was a whole bunch of volunteers getting together to make something happen. And I was literally tapped on the shoulder, said, "Hey, Brian, why don't you be the conference chair next year?" And I'm thinking, no, I don't know nothing about putting on a conference. Nothing. No experience, no nothing, nothing in my professional life had anything to do with that. Scheduled meetings, but not a conference. Totally different. No, 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 no. And I kind of thought about it. Well, actually, he approached me again and asked me again. I was part of the think about it kind of crowd. And then I did it. I wound up signing on to be the conference chair. And I figured, how hard can this really be? How complicated? How many moving parts could there really be in this whole thing? All right. Didn't know the answer to that. It's like, okay, what are the guidelines? What information can you give me that kind of get me started on this whole thing? I was given information. I was 5 years old, that information I was given. Fantastic. All right. Then I started moving forward. And then about a month into this thing, I had about 9 months in order to do this. And about a month into it, maybe a little bit more than that, it came to light as to what the conference was really, really all about. It was about this business meeting. And not that any of this stuff is bad. It's just that I thought I was running an educational conference with seminars and speakers and motivational, had some keynote speakers. And the officers of our district was looking at it from their aspect is that it was the business meeting was there, and we had to have a quorum, had to have a certain amount of people come, and that business meeting was just as important as everything else. See, I was looking at it as a Toastmaster member, and as a member, I saw the education component and one who was looking to improve upon public speaking. I was looking at it as that education was just great. The contests were nice, but the educational seminar was absolutely it. Okay, I learned. So now, after a month and a half or so, that aspect of it came to light. And here's the reason why I'm telling you this is that you don't know until you do. You don't know everybody's points of view. You don't know what's going on behind the scenes, and you don't know what issues are going to come up and how to prepare for them as much as possible with doing a big event. All right. So now we got it a little bit clearer as to what it is. We got a meeting now with all of our committee chairs. Remember, this is partially funded by monies raised at the event, either by people paying for tickets to attend, the fundraisers, things like that that's going on. So now all of a sudden, it really came to a point where I had to really focus in on these committees. Wound up being 17 committees. 17 committees for a nonprofit public speaking Toastmasters event. Would you imagine you would need 17 committees? I never did, but we did. And then my role was to actually coordinate the whole aspect of these 17 committees. I'm not going to go into all the details of the rest of that kind of stuff. But again, the point is that one does not know what's really needed unless one really does it, or you're working side by side with somebody and you're really looking at it from that person's point of view. Not your point of view, but that person's point of view who's currently running the event or has run past events and things like that. And it was an incredible learning experience to go through that whole process. Our 17 committees were anything from hospitality. Hey, you came, people needed to know what the schedule was. There was a big schedule. It was a full day event. So what the schedule was, what the layout of the hotel was, what rooms held the seminars, what rooms held the food, what room was just available for you to sit down and relax. Because again, a long day. That's what our hospitality committee did. Never even imagined we would need a hospitality committee. But people are always asking questions. Call them like, the maitre d's of the event. So that was that. And all of a sudden, like, well, how does people know that they're the hospitality team? So somebody had to come up with an idea for that. All this stuff takes time, but you don't even think about it if you're just attending, especially if you're attending an event that goes well, because it just happens. How'd that go off like that? Oh, it was a well-oiled machine. Well, that's good. I mean, every event you attend and every event that you put on really should be a well-oiled machine. There's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes to do that. Fundraising. Fundraising was nice. 50-50 raffle, that's kind of easy, right? But what about if you want to collect items to give away? What items where should it go? The education seminars. Sure, we want to learn. Where do you get the speakers from? Where do you get those presenters from? Inside the organization, outside the organization. Who's got an opinion? Who doesn't have an opinion? Much to learn. Much to learn on that. And that's why I so strongly believe that you should hold back your opinions on things until you actually understand, really understand. So if you're attending something and something goes awry and something's maybe not to your liking a little bit, well, either just kind of go along to get along. That's always a nice thing to do. If it's something that's really wrong and you're being wronged by it, then go along to get along. It's not really the answer on it. You want to try to get it fixed. But understand that the person on the other side may or may not even come to realize it from your perspective until you bring it to their attention. I'll go back to my buddy Doug King on that one. Doug's in a wheelchair. Do I see things from a wheelchair point of view? I never did prior to meeting him, prior to understanding, that aspect of it. Once I did, well, then I think I do at least. Don't know if 100%, can't really 100% because I don't sit in a wheelchair all the time. But I'm understanding it a little bit more so. If you're going to an event someplace, you got to understand it a little bit more so from their perspective. Make a suggestion, whatever it is, as that goes along. But ripping people apart for something like that, I don't think that's going to get us anywhere as that goes. So this whole idea of putting on a good event, of creating something, is a great learning experience. So that's why I strongly suggest if you're thinking about doing something like that, volunteer someplace. You volunteer and you're able to go there with, let's say, a limited role in whatever the event is, right? You're able to then pick and choose a little bit more so of where you want to go and what you want to do. Now let them tell you what you're going to do, but at least you're in the direction of what you want to do. But then you get to see things differently. See things differently. This whole idea, with the Toastmasters program, I never imagined there was so many people involved. 17 committees. I not a clue, not a clue. But there was, and it was everything about timing and timing the events, escorting the presenters, making sure they knew where to go, making sure they knew when to start and stop their presentations. The business meeting group. There was another group. So many, so many, so many different facets, of the whole thing. I'm thrilled that I was able to do it. It was, it was a lot. It was a lot more than I ever thought it was going to be, even as we continued to move along in the whole thing. And I can tell you, I was just so exhausted in the middle of the day. I sat down on a chair in the hallway, and I think in fact, I know I did. I fell asleep right smack in the middle of the hallway because it was just incredible. Public speaking side of it, let me tell you, that was another one. See, I thought the meeting was actually going to run itself. One group went up, next group went up, so that whole thing. No, no. And maybe this was my first real foray into impromptu speaking when it mattered, right? Really mattered. Not on a comedy stage where it's just fun, or those comedy classes I took, or even this. I mean, really, you know, something goes wrong over here, like so be it. But now I'm in that room there. We had 175 plus people, and we were behind schedule by like 10 o'clock in the morning. Not good because this thing was supposed to end at in the evening, 7, 8 o'clock at night. So to be off schedule that early, that meant lunch was off schedule, meant dinner was off schedule. That meant the whole back kitchen was off. That couldn't be. So somehow we had to save time in order to do that. Next thing I knew, I was the MC of that event throughout the entire day, except of course when I took that nap. And you get thrown into things, in a different light. Did I learn from that role? Probably did. Did I look back and think about that? No, I not specifically on that one. But it's all these collective things, that actually add into your base of knowledge. Will it prepare you for everything that you do? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Will you give you the confidence to take on new challenges? Absolutely will. Definitely will. So think about this. As you have different things coming up, even if it's planning a family vacation, if it's getting involved with a nonprofit that you're so supportive of, you're going to go out there and raise money. That's fantastic. I'm sure they need to do that. You're going to be out there promoting it on social media. I'm sure they need to do that. But if you want to see how they're really putting together that fundraiser, or what's going on behind the scenes so you gain a better understanding of the whole thing, and it perhaps support some of your efforts beyond that in some other goal. Do that. And do that using your eyes and ears, not so much as the mouth, but really take a good look and listen as to what's happening, as to how they're doing it, how they're going about doing something, why they're doing it. You can disagree with it, that's fine. But look at it from their point of view and then see how you could apply that into your world. Maybe you'll become a better networker if you understand how putting a networking event together actually happens. David Gusson puts those events together, 516 60 run ads. All the time he's doing that. How's he do that? You think that's easy? Absolutely not. He has to identify the sponsors. Part of his process is identifying the sponsors, the location, time, where it's going to be, and then, of course, promoting it. This way, people attend, and also promoting those that are the sponsors of the whole thing. Where you and I would just show up. Hey, Karen, good afternoon. Well, you and I would just show up to something like that. Now, I have my own strategy when I attend those things. I generally will call 2 or 3 people and invite them along too. Say, look, David's having this event, or I'm going to this trade show, or something like that. This way I'm able to use my time effectively. But that's my point of view. That's not David's. How could you become a little bit more ingratiated with that host, with that event? If it's something that you want to either learn more about or something you really want to support, give a hand. Ask. I say, look, how can I help you with this event? Probably has some ideas, and it could be anything. There's some ideas. Now, if you're looking from the networking standpoint, what do you think is going to happen? You turn around and you help out that networking event organizer in helping either to promote it or some other aspect of it. You think you're on top of their mind? Oh, absolutely are. Absolutely are. Hey, maybe you wind up with an extra referral out of it. Maybe you're highlighted someplace. Big thank you to that kind of thing. You never know. So that becomes a factor in your business. But what if you want to put on an event? What if you want to do something? May not be a networking event. Maybe it's a Toastmasters event. Maybe it's something else. So your own nonprofit that you're involved with or something. You could take what you're learning from that and apply it someplace else. That increases your base knowledge. And really where that base knowledge comes into play two places. First one is if you make a concerted effort to go and do something. I'm involved with the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation, right? The more I understand what they're doing in order to put on these different events, the walk, we have a walk that's coming up in October that I'll be emceeing and formally emceeing. I've been given a script on this one. But the more I understand what the objectives are of that specific event, the better I'm going to be as an MC. Now, the reason why I say specific event is that they're raising money. It's a walk, it's a fundraiser, raising money. Money gets raised, it goes to help to find the cure for Crohn's and colitis. Okay, that's what we all see. Absolutely. And that's great. And the teams raise money, everybody raises money, and it goes to hopefully one day we find a cure for Crohn's colitis. But how do I help them, the Long Island chapter, the event planner, person who's writing my script, become more effective in what they're doing? Now, if I volunteer, not just as the MC, but if I get a little bit more involved, a little bit more involved in the behind the scenes there, I'll have a better understanding of what message they're really trying to deliver out, how they want the thing to look, not just sitting there reading, but how they really want the thing to look. Now I could be better at what I do. I then become a better MC, not just at that event, but on other projects going forward. So you're able to carry these base experiences from one thing to another. Now that's a concerted effort. That's something that right? You're going to go into something and you're going to learn from it. You're going to see it from that person's point of view. And maybe you're going to apply it in some other event that you are looking to put together. Okay, well and good. That's known. What about that crazy thing called the unknown? That's the fun part of it. That definitely could be the fun part of it. That's the effective, that you do know that you're making an effort to go and do it. It's planned out. You're going to go into this thing and you understand now, based on prior experiences, that these are the different committees that are needed. These are the different aspects of it. These are different phone calls you need to make in advance, 2 weeks in advance, day in advance, reminding people where they need to be, stuff like that. Fun part. And the fun part could actually be the greatest learning experience of them all, because now you're going into something with a base level of experience, and then you're going to apply it in an unknown world. That's exciting. That excites me, right? Now, in my quest, I want to become a better MC, a better announcer, much more effective when it comes to the camera, the use of the camera, video camera, still camera a little bit. As I was talking to my wife Karen before, about that thing. I want to be competent with a still camera, but I really want to focus on this. I really want to focus on interviewing skills, announcing, stuff like that, in front of the camera, in front of that audience per se. In other words, either in front of the camera or behind the microphone. That's really where I want to place myself. Now, base experience, that Toastmaster thing was actually really huge. MCing the walk for the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation, that's huge. Here's the fun part, is when I do something that I've never done before. That is like all of a sudden I get a phone call out of the blue, which reminds me I do need to call somebody back, but I get a phone call out of the blue and said, hey, how would you like to? And like, do I know that much about what's going on? Maybe not. Could I learn that? Yeah. Do I have the confidence to do it? And there is the key to it all. That's the base experience. See, if you know that you have done these various things in the past that have given you the experience to be, in my case, with the microphone, in front of the microphone, sometimes behind the camera to get a better idea on that one. On the event planning side, to see that, to understand that the message being delivered at every event is super important. There's always an underlying message, an underlying theme, an underlying takeaway that that event organizer, be it a business event, nonprofit event, whatever it might be, there's always some theme that goes along, some message goes, some longer term goal, that's tied in with the whole thing. And if you can grasp that and understand that, that makes you better at whatever it is you do. But how do you gain the confidence to say yes and then do it? Understand that you need some things to learn, but you don't have to learn everything. And that's by doing. That is absolutely positively by doing. If you're running a business or you're planning on running a business, first thing you should do is find out what you need to know, learn it, and then go someplace and practice it. Go someplace and see things from somebody else's perspective. You're thinking about starting a business in anything, find somebody else that's actually operating a business in anything. Now you got to get yourself a little bit more specific. You want to open up a brick and mortar business? Go into some other business that is a brick and mortar business. Attend different trade shows, attend different seminars that have something to do with brick and mortar businesses, any aspect of it. That's going to give you some base level of knowledge. So when you get the opportunity to really ask somebody a real question and they're going to spend their time with you, you are now coming at it with a higher level of knowledge and saying, how do you run a business? What kind of a question is that? You know, how do you schedule employees? How do you keep employees? Those are real questions that goes along with it. What's the balance of how much do you pay people versus the amount of people you need? How is that kind of calculated in over there? Look, if a business got a certain money to spend on salaries, they have a certain amount of money to spend on salaries. Do you spend more money per salary or a lower amount of money per person and have more people? It depends. Well, I wouldn't even know how to begin that. But someone who operates a business, a brick and mortar business would. And of course, if you have an online business, there's many, many things to learn in that respect. That's if you're starting a business. But no matter what it is, no matter what it is that you're trying to accomplish, and you should know ultimately what your theme is, what your message is, what your long term goal is. And hopefully, it's a lofty goal. But understand what your long term goal is and then volunteer, offer your services, put yourself in different places where you're going to learn more and more of that base knowledge. It doesn't have to be exactly what you're looking to do, but some component of it does. Because when your opportunity comes up to start your own business, you need to be prepared to go when it's time to go. Opportunities are out there. That's why I named this thing. There are opportunities out there. The question is, do you see them? That's one. And you have to have the confidence then to act on them. That's two. And the third thing is having that base knowledge. That base knowledge is going to allow you support, to give you the support that you need internally to go and do something. Look, there's people that tell you all kinds of things you should do, you should do, you should do. There's only one person that could really decide whether or not it really is something that you should do, not just could do, but should do. And that's you. Get the resources you need for you to be ready when that opportunity comes along the way. That will give you all the success you need, whether it's accomplishing a goal, making money, building something, whatever it might be. But you got to have that base knowledge in order to do it. Work on that foundation. That'll get you far. Definitely will. And then what happens when you do that? Well, you're going to do something absolutely amazing. You're going to speak well, you're going to speak often, and you're going to live inspired. And that will inspire others to do exactly the same thing. Make it work, my friends. You can do it. I know you can. Build that base. All right. Have an absolutely incredible day. We will be back again tomorrow. Do this one more time. And again, good luck with everybody. Stay as safe as possible with this hurricane that is. progress through Florida and on its way up the rest of the coastline.